Welcome back to the OPL Week 5 Super Week Friday night. We just saw an amazing game between Legacy and Avant. Avant once again able to pick up a 2-1 victory. Still Spawn, still Aegin. That was intense.
It's close. It's close. Like every time these two play each other, they're real actually close games, and I feel like people are stepping up across the board. But AV just have their number once again. Legacy throw just one too many Barons. Oh, we were talking about Legatos.
Yeah.
That was a Legatos.
That was.
Oh.
Bummer. However, another bbig OPL game coming your way. It's going to be the Bombers taking on a Direwolves, our second rematch of the week. Direwolves, of course, right now sitting pretty top of the table, 4-0. Took down Chiefs 2-1 week 1. They took down Order 2-1 last week, going up against the Bombers. It's a top versus bottom clash. However, you still just feel that if you scratch long enough at the Bombers, there might be something there, but it's just not coming out at the moment.
We say it time and time again. On paper, the roster shouldn't be the best in the league, but they should be good. They should be winning games. Like their series versus Sin was real rough, I think. They won a single map, and kind of that's all they've had for the OPL split. They've only tasted victory for a single game at a time. Yeah,
it certainly is, and you feel like so much of this game in particular comes down to Sleeping's playstyle. He's a volatile top laner. He wants to take things like the Riven, like the Fiora, into Chippies, and we saw that the last time Chippies played against him, he didn't really give a damn.
It's an interesting revolution, right? Because Chippies went from this player who kind of was the counterpick top laner originally, and then kind of went to Korea first year 2017 and has come back and been an absolute beast, and now Sleeping kind of fills that role, taking on the King, and Chippies is like, been there, done that. You play Riven into my Gangplanker, who cares?
Yeah, exactly right. And we saw that even though the first engage seemed to kind of work out, I think he misplayed it a little bit and probably should have picked up a kill there. But for some reason, he just didn't pull the trigger again, which was so strange because it was, even though he didn't kill him, it was like 10% health versus full HP on the side of the Riven.
You have to think like you burn the Ignite, but then he has to flash away, TP back to lane. You should be able to replicate. You should be able to bring Seb back up, but I feel like the Seb Sleeping combo is something that like isn't really working. I feel like Seb overall is finding it quite hard to work with his lanes and really not having that much of an impact across the map.
And I know another person that you want to throw under the microscope is Luch, the sole remaining carry from the Abyss lineup. Now the Bombers, they got rid of Pabu, they got rid of Raid. They're both having pretty decent series so far. And Luch, even though he was suspended for the first 2 weeks, came back. Hasn't had the impact we expect.
Yeah, has came back. Only played 3 different champions so far in the league. Comparing him to some of the other mid laners, there's numbers like 7. Swiffer, I think, has played 7 different champions. Mind you, was banned for 2 weeks there, but really, I mean, you kind of just said it. Like, he just hasn't had the impact. He was the player that they signed immediately. Like, this roster is built around Luch. They obviously were like, okay, we don't want to retain Pabu, we don't want to retain Raid. We're going to import those roles. And then obviously those are struggling in itself, but kind of the veterans that are left on this roster, in Seb, in Rosie, and then especially in Luch, I think is also still struggling.
Yeah, I think so as well. However, to break down this game a little bit more, let's go get Laura. I just want Bailey's
Get Bailey's opinion.
Get Bailey's opinion. Let's go.
Thanks, guys. I'm not too sure if we can get Bailey's opinion, but we're into our second series of the day, the Direwolves going up against the Bombers. Direwolves are currently sitting on the top of the ladder, but Tegan, I want to grab your thoughts on this series and who you think is going to take it.
I mean, the cop-out is to say that Direwolves are just going to 2-0 and that's that. But I fully believe the Bombers rosters have a lot of talent. They have 5 really great players. It seems like they just can't put it together on match day. I truly believe they can take a game here. But I'm still going to go Direwolves 2-0 because they just haven't proven it yet.
Do you think that the Bombers are a bit of a dark horse in the OPL?
At this point, dark horse might be a correct description, but coming in, people expected a lot more from them. And it just seems like they're just underperforming. So maybe, but I feel like there might be a better term to describe it. I just can't think of it.
I'm also going to give this series a 2-0 to the Direwolves. But hey, if you like Hungry Jacks, you should think about entering our timping competition over at opltips.com.au, where we have a selection of $25, $50 and $100 Hungry Jacks vouchers available to win, as well as XP boosts and RP prizes. For more information on those prizes and how to participate, make sure you do head on over to opltips.com.au. Thank you once again for your thoughts, Tegan. And sorry we couldn't get Bailey's thoughts, but to get this game started, let's hand it over to Jake and Bryce.
Thanks so much. Always great to hear from the analyst hangout.
They couldn't get Bailey's thoughts. Laura didn't even try. She didn't ask the question. Maybe all he needs is a little bit of prompting. Maybe he'll speak up or
a little bit introverted. You reckon over there, Bailey?
Yeah, a little bit of what?
Introverted. Like,
oh
yeah,
yeah,
a little bit camera shy. Yeah, I don't know. I do want to talk about a little bit of what they were mentioning. The game day jitters. The fact that this is a squad that publicly has said that there's things going on mentally, that they, maybe aren't playing their best League of Legends. You played for the biggest organization within Oceania. As it was falling off the metaphorical cliff, is there pressure behind stuff like this? Speak to me about it.
Absolutely, 100%. And it might not even be like organizational pressure. It's just pressure the players place on themselves, especially someone like Rosie, who's been like an Essendon Football Club fan his entire life. And now one of the biggest AFL clubs come and invests in this team. And the players are like, wow, like this is a huge deal. And we're just not picking up wins, right? They've won a single match the entire split so far. And like, I guess that really weighs on you. If you're going into a game and you have to think about all of these different things, you're not just thinking about the fact that like you have to play a game of League of Legends. And then the biggest critique and multiple analysts in the OPL have mentioned, like, is there proactivity? Like nobody on this roster is stepping up, and kind of like maybe mentality, maybe that is it, right? Maybe nobody's stepping up because they're like, damn, like I don't want to be the one to mess this up, and kind of that's where they're falling.
Yeah, exactly right. At the same time, you have to look at successful imports like Dokla, like Flair's last split. Obviously, a dream of young players would be, let's go to a region like Oceania, let's absolutely smash people, and let's try and make a name for ourselves internationally. Sleeping and Tiger, both immense pressure on themselves in that regard, have not been able to do it so far. However, let's bring up the lineups onto your screen. It is going to be the Bombers. Sleeping is their top laner. Sed is their jungler. Luch, the man that we want to see perform today against Triple, is their mid laner. Tiger, and Rosie is their AD carry and support. Of course, Windows Monkey is their coach. Flipping over to the Direwolves, the current kings, the Wolf Pack. Chippies are their top laner. Shernfire is their heart, soul, and jungler. Triple is their mid laner. King and Cupcake had huge weeks last week against Order. Sharp won that 1v1. Is thinking about it pretty smugly. He's got the chin rub is going on. And I keep going back to it. Until someone beats them, Direwolves are the best team in the OPL. They've been challenged a couple of times. Order got close. Direwolves gave them a Baron. Order nearly made them play. Chiefs, with a sub, got close. However, these two teams not able to take them down. And Direwolves, they're a resilient team. Shern in game number 2 was hard inting.
Like, absolutely. There's no other way to describe that other than just an atrocious game, and was literally inting.
And then the next game he bounced back and he's like, dude.
Just shrugs it off. That's actually something big, right? Because you can criticize a top team that kind of like hasn't lost to anyone and be like, wow, that game sucked. But to see him actually bounce back and just kind of completely flip is a big thing, and that's kind of important, especially from a region such as OS. Like, if Direwolves keep winning the split and they keep going internationally, and people keep considering this team that kind of like stomps Oceania and then goes internationally and struggles, that's the kind of stuff that you need to look at in the regular season when approaching like Wildcards, MSI Worlds, to be like, hey, this team is actually resilient. When they do get challenged, they can bounce back.
Yeah, and I think the other big thing from last week for the Direwolves is they'd kind of been in cruise control since week 1. However, Triple last week kicked it up a gear. All of a sudden, legitimate heir to like what Fanatics was on that team, able to take down Swiffer. Cupcake, people have been looking at Destiny saying he's really performing on the Chiefs. That hurts that he left your team. Cupcake, fantastic couple of games into the 80 carry duo, and King showing that he still has a little bit of bite left in him.
Yeah, 100%. I think Cupcake, the big thing for me is when you compare him to someone like Destiny, you're like, wow, Destiny can just play so many differing styles, whereas Cupcake is more of just like a tank player. But even then, he's more of like a Braum and like Tarek and stuff like that. He's not really one for the alley, and then he just picks it up versus Order last weekend, like just blind picking it in this matchup, and was playing very well, I think, overall.
Yeah, so I think that this is a team that you still have to pay respect to. And straight away, Bombers get rid of a couple of the unorthodox pick. Vladimir, just blind, get it away. Both Chippies and Triple play it to a very high level. Tahm Kench, they're probably the best Tahm Kench team in the comp. Last time these two teams played, it was a Tahm Kench of Shernfire into the bottom lane that started this snowball rolling.
Behind the turret, just dove that one up.
And then it's going to be Gangplank Azir taken away from Direwolf. So just by Direwolf, sorry, just some strong picks. And Shern gets some respect on Kha'Zix.
Yeah, absolutely. His Jarvan game was notably his worst there, but the Kha'Zix was looking all right in game 1 and 3. So good stuff coming out of there. The Bombers do bend that one away. Zoe did hit the bench as well, but that will just be time and time again. That's a Sejuani priority as well.
And to me, this shows like when a coach just is able to ban 3 OPs on red side, it really shows that they think that across the board, they are just comprehensively better players. They're not willing to target ban something like Luch's Rise, which he's been known for in the past. They're just like, we're going to take away the strong picks from the board, and we're going to play what's strong, and we'll win.
But I mean, like, I agree.
Yep.
I also agree. I think Direwolves almost on paper in every role seem like they do have the matchups 1v1. So,
but I just think like that's a mentality thing, right? They're not even saying if he gets this good pick, it could swing the game. like Order versus anyone versus Tectonic at the moment, right? They're like, let's just ban out Shock. The only way they win the game is through Shock, so 5 mid lane bans every single time. Direwolves are like, nah, we're not about that crap. We just, you know, stick to the game plan. I like it. I respect it.
Yep. So will be another blind pick, Ali. I do lock in the other jungler. Man, I wanted some more exciting junglers for patch 8.3. But
So did I. I thought Lee Sin was really coming back.
Yep.
And I'm a big Lee Sin fan, by the way.
Fortunately, we've been proven wrong time and time again. Mind you, we're only in today one of Super Week, and Super Week is a long weekend.
We got like 6 days on this patch. I'm sure by the end of it,
someone needs
we
to
can
play
dig
Lee
deep.
Sin.
It's going to be Ezreal and a Morgana lock in bottom lane, and Chippies just takes the Camille. Or potentially, nah, it's going to be Chippies.
Nah. Yep, they do already have the Jarvan, so no flex to the jungle like we saw Sway do. Camille will be in the top lane. Morgana, once again, I'm a big fan of. I think she's not bad. And I think Rosie, actually, in that game, this was the Sivir Morgana game, where Spell Thief is obviously nerfed on patch 8.3, so I don't think they'll be doing the same thing. But this was their, like, macro victory, where they, like, played the Sivir Morgana, flipped it up to top side. I think a lot of their picks actually came from, like, stray bindings that were picking people off, and that netted them to the Baron, and that meant that was the game that they could actually win versus Sin.
Yeah, for sure. And he meant Spellbook, not Spell Thief. It's going to be Jax as well as Fiora taken away by Direwolf. So a couple of counter picks up there in the top lane. A couple of 80 carry bans in the form of Caitlyn as well as Kalista targeted towards King. Nothing targeted towards Triple. No Talia. No Orianna. These are champions that he has played to great success.
And it's pretty interesting, despite not being touched, Kalista priority has plummeted this patch. This has gotten all the way through the first phase to the second phase bans, when last week that would have just been unheard of. She was first pick, first ban every single game almost.
And we're going to see it. The champion that absolutely decimated Order in game #1 last week. I think he came out of laning phase like 5-0-0. The walls were on point.
The flicks were on point.
He's a good player, Triple.
Yep. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? Absolutely stellar stuff. They do lock that one in. They do flip the Summoner, actually, in the mid lane. Cheeky little one there. Over to the heal. So, Triple going to take heal into that matchup. Luch, looking like he's going to pick up the Rise as well. Does lock it in. You mentioned he's known for that pick.
He's a good Rise player. It's definitely always been his best champion, in my opinion. Got the combos down pat, and it's actually going to be the Gnar matchup. So Sleeping doesn't take a hard counter. Instead, takes the skill matchup. If your hops are good, you win.
Yep.
If they're not, you die.
Yeah, can be very punishing, especially against a Camille. I feel like she's one of the split pushers that later in the game is so easy to just return kill, to keep punishing you. If you fall behind as the Gnar, she'll just lock you down. She'll either kill you herself, or Chippies will bring over Fire, and they'll just do so much damage. Just eat you up real quickly. And also, they've got that global threat in Talia. So.
And all of a sudden, it's just another Sivir comp going to be locked in. 1-3-1 potential through the roof. They've got Sivir in the mid lane to just be able to clear out wave after wave. I like the comp that's put together by Direwolves. There are some threats right now on Bombers, notably if they can get the top side of the map ahead, they will be able to match the 1-3-1.
Yep. Both mid laners have access to the globals there. Obviously, Talia's a little bit bigger. So, I feel like the mid lane matchup, if either jungler can really influence that one early, could take over the map so far, but both bot lanes fairly safe, to be honest. Hard to gank. Sivir obviously has the spell shield. Ali has the ulti to break out of CC. Very hard to gank, very hard to dive. And then likewise on the side of the Bombers bot lane, Ezreal very safe. Morgana has that magic shield, so you can't CC there.
And there's no real gank setup out of Ezreal or Sivir. Generally, if you're running a kill lane, you're running with something 80 carry with CC, you know, Ashe, Varus, things like that. Even things like Xayah. However, I think that the big thing I want to talk about is the jungle, because Seb must perform. If you're going to win top side of the map, your jungler needs to be able to at least go even with their jungler, because otherwise it is too hard to play aggressive in the top lane, long lane especially. So tracking Seb going into this match will be incredibly interesting.
And we've seen Feast and Famine out of Fire. We've seen both sides of the coin, so have to see if Seb can match up in this little 1v1 in the jungle there and push him over the edge. Should be a starving jungler with no camps.
Yeah, see SCG badge on the shoulder of the Direwolves, training out of the high performance center in Sydney Cricket Ground. Life is good. However, we are on Summoner's Rift for game #1. Bombers versus Direwolves rematch again. Let's check in with Laura, who's alongside Windows Monkey.
Thank you very much, guys. I'm standing here with Windows Monkey. The Bombers are playing a game tonight. They're also playing another game first up tomorrow. How has these back-to-back games influenced your preparation coming into today's game?
Well, we're very much focused on internal preparation, just focusing on how we can play the game better, pretty much for any opponent, and then we've just done pick ban preparation for each individual team. So, yeah, mainly internal focus is how we've dealt with playing 2 games back-to-back.
Sleeping's playing Na into Camille. Is this something that he's practiced a lot and feels confident on?
Yeah, this definitely be a matchup he's confident in. It's a very common matchup in scrims, and I'm sure Sleeping is very confident playing this matchup.
And you've said previously that you're just looking for the Bombers to improve from week to week. So in today's series, what are you looking to come out of them?
Oh, well, pretty much just, like I said, improve from last week and the week before. And yeah, just play our own game, and then if we can get leads up against the Direwolves or even just good games, that'd be a success for us today.
Looking forward to seeing that. Thank you so much for the interview and best of luck with the series.
Thank you very much.
Good to hear from Windows Monkey. I'm actually really interested to track kind of how the support staff around these players continues to progress, continues to like track that improvement, what they're looking to get from. And this internal focus is, I think, something that, you know, is becoming more and more prevalent within the OPL. Just concentrate on what you're doing, do it well, and results eventually should sort themselves out.
Yeah, I mean, both the teams in this game do follow that mantra. Dire was obviously a very internal-based team here, is Luch. And Triple, just trading blows a little bit.
Minion Dematerializer stopwatches, 4 out of 6 inventory full already. Of course, this is the patch where stopwatch and boots are on the same, so you can no longer take both of them. So not going to see the 5th just pop up randomly in landing phase.
Cupcake. Obviously, taking Celestial Body here. That's a very tanky Alistar at level 1, so has that extra 100 HP. Obviously, has opted in for the Spellbook as well, though. So Resolve Secondary gives him a little bit of HP, but then that Mastery means he's even bigger.
Thoughts on Celestial Body?
I mean, it's not bad. I feel like it definitely has its niche. In terms of this lane, I think the big thing is the level 1 coming out of Morgana Ezreal should beat Sivir Ali.
Yeah.
But you saw, he just has so much health to play with. He's fine tanking a few blows here or there, and they actually get priority in this range versus melee matchup. And that's a nice combo into Rosie. Bind misses.
Punches him into the wall, and then able to get the follow-up. You see Shern already using Triple's priority to invade Seb. Smite not
Flick.
yet up available. Flick is there, dashes back out. However, the flash is there.
Heal.
Heal as well out of Luch. Will bait in Shern. 4 summoner spells, however, used.
Unfortunately for the Bombers, I don't think Luch has a point in his W. So he's not able to actually root down Shernfire whilst he had turret aggro, so...
Surely he does. Can we check out Luch? No, we can't.
We're going to Ezreal.
But he flash healed him.
Yep.
I mean, honestly, Ezreal combo still goes through. If I'm Luch, I'm letting him die. I'm not sacrificing my whole laning phase against a Jarvan as well as the Taliyah.
Yep. You have to think that's now just a losing situation for both of them there. Seb obviously loses his camp, loses that jungle matchup. Shernfire already invading again. Level disparity and double buffs available for Shern.
Shern does this so well. He just walks into your jungle and he acts like it's his. Honestly, you see he hits your sweeping plant, clears your ward out in front of you, says my lanes have enough priority that you're going to get collapsed on first and I'm already stronger than you. Electrocute coming up. Pretty standard, I feel, for the Jarvan for the early game pressure.
I think in terms of the runes, something we have to note is Dire's bot lane. They have the double Spellbook, not the Spell Thief. And that's something I didn't expect, honestly, on this patch. It's obviously 10% Summoner lost CDR from 25 down to 15, so didn't expect to see something like an 80 carry like the Sivir to still be picking that one up. But I mean, in terms of all 80 carries, Sivir is the one that you just naturally get so much wave clear. Especially against something like the Ezreal. You will have that disparity in wave clear, so it might just be so easy.
The reason I like it is because Sivir generally doesn't build lifesteal until very late into the piece.
Yep.
So you can go something like Barrier, something like Cleanse, which is a lot more selfish, and get yourself around team fights in the latter stages of the game. And also the fact that she is, as you said, the best wave clearing AD carry, but will struggle to hit turrets. So if you're able to pick up the teleport early, you can get yourself around the map and get access to structures which you normally wouldn't be able to hit. Normally she's a shove and leave AD carry.
Yeah, unfortunately for Seb, he did actually show on that ward, so still level 3 there, Triple. Has the priority in the mid lane, and is something Direwolves are very good at. Constantly, just you see the ward over the Gromp ward, Gromp wall that Chippies has obviously placed on the top side of the map, and then Triple did spot out Seb, so Shern gets that early invade. Nice combo onto Ezreal, means it's going to take a bit of damage here, but Bind misses. But this just means Direwolves have just tracked Seb literally from that level 3 point. I mean, he's still level 3.
Yeah.
But they've just seen him basically from minute 2 of this game completely.
Yep, 100% agree. So good job by the whole Direwolf lineup. want to point out double Dorans into a Lost Chapter means that is a very mana-heavy build coming out of Triple, a very lane-focused build, definitely wanting to guarantee that priority in the mid lane to continue this playstyle.
Yeah, and I mean, they do burn both TPs to get down to the bot side, so we see this once again, but they just have priority in all 3 lanes.
Yep.
Despite the range versus melee mismatch on the bot side, they do just keep pushing it in. We mentioned the Sivir. That's what she does, and then Chippy's in the top side, pushing in the Narf more often than not. Might switch around at level 6, but Direwolves, we were talking earlier about 3 winning lanes. They at least have 3 priority lanes right now.
Yeah, they certainly do. And you can see that they're just going to continue to pressure this. Alistair just being a human ward right now. He's walking around in River, leaving King to his absolute lonesome.
Not to mention, that's so huge for the mid lane matchup. Luch already slightly getting shoved in, but potentially could match the push. He does have Dematerializer, so there's potential there, but every time Cupcake goes missing, he just has to respect that the Ellie could just be floating around bot lane. They don't know if he's actually left or if he's just sitting in the shallow river, but actually, if he walks all the way up, could contest the mid lane.
And do you remember the compositions where Sivir Alistar or Sivir Annie would sit in your Raptor camp? And then Sivir's job in the gank was to just speed him in with the ultimate and then just go back bottom lane.
Yep.
I feel like this is one of those comps that if you get mid lane priority, you can actually use things like Talia Wall to cut off the only exit that Luch would have, and then just send the Alistar zooming in at level 6.
And I do need to note right now, in terms of what the different junglers are doing, Seb walks in to the red buff of Schönfire, and then Schönfire does the same thing, so they're matching. But because Schön has priority in his lanes, Sleeping actually base, so Seb can't stick around. He knows if he's ever caught there, Chippies has priority, will lock him down and kill him. So the lineup of Direwolves just completely on the same page, and Schön linking up with his lanes just means his invades are so much more effective. And then Seb didn't even get a camp. He just gets a ward.
Yeah, gets a couple of wards down. You can see King just spell shields on point, catching CC, protecting his minion wave, shoving it into the turret, building a big advantage already. And those TPs are already half off cooldown, so you'd have to expect that they're going to be going top lane eventually. That's already half health on the turret.
Yeah, you have to mention both skill shot champions, Morgana and the Ezreal, they're just going to be throwing things at the Sivir. At some point, you just have to stop throwing them, because mana just means wave clear, and then wave clear means you're just going to be stuck under your turret, because every time she just eats one of these Qs with her spell shield, she just gets that chunk of mana back, so it just becomes so much more easy. They just keep pushing this one in, and he's just sitting at about 75% mana right now.
And I'm also tracking like how well Cupcake is just stepping in front of low health minions and just denying them
A CS here
from
and there,
Tiger.
yeah.
And that's where, like, if they would have lost about a wave and a half to the teleport shop, but also there is some CS here because they're not heavily trading onto each other.
No.
That is just going to the wayside as Cupcake steps in and just denies them, and denying not an obvious mechanic within League of Legends, but is something that you do have to track, because every bit of gold that you punish Ezreal for means just that little bit more.
Schönfire, looking around the bottom hand side of the map, is spotted out by that ward. He didn't actually hit the one that is disabled by the pink, so thinks he's
Wants
got
to
in
go
there.
aggressive here. We'll get a second Hyper Proc. Will jump in. Will burn the flash. Does not knock him into the wall. And now Chippy's looking to turn this one around. You can see Sleeping still doing a lot of damage. Chippies will have to get out. So ultimates traded, flash traded. However, Sleeping a little bit of the advantage.
And you have to think that was so close to being a solo kill in the Sleeping versus Chippy's matchup, and this pressure on the bottom hand side of the map for the Direwolves means they will just be getting first brick onto their bot lane without even having to fight for it.
Exactly right. You see Schön, they just walk in. They take it all away. Just cool, calm, and collected. Direwolves will actually share gold right now with Cupcake.
Yep. Potentially wants to get him his Moby Boots purchase and then unlock them on the map. The TPs are available fairly soon. So unleashing the Angry Cow across the map could be a good strategy here for Direwolves. So they do split that gold.
See whether King goes for an IE or an Essence Reaver. I think that will show us a lot of his mentality. It's going to be Essence Reaver. Yep. So he is. They're going to go into a hard 1-3-1. You would have to expect with this build. Definitely not going to look to group up and Deathball.
Yep. TP's into the top lane right now, so they are flipping the lanes, going up to the top side. Have to see if the bottom lane from the Bombers do match. Ezreal has a late recall, but Rosie already walking top side on that Morgana means you do have to think they're going to match this one.
And this is such a frustrating way to lose a game right now if you're the Bombers, because you lose tempo every time. They've got a better shove. They've got TPs that you just cannot match. Your jungler was set behind so early. You know you can't gank them, because if Schön's ever there, it's a turnaround kill. And just slowly but surely, they're just going to whittle around that duo lane. And now Sleeping is thinking, if I don't win the side lane. Luch is thinking, if I don't do something spectacular mid lane, this game is just going to be done and dusted before the laning phase ends.
We're only 10 minutes in, and kind of by default, Direwolves have accrued themselves about a 1.5k gold lead already. And I mean, we were talking about in the earlier series, in terms of 3 priority lanes and 3 winning lanes, you have to mess up the draft somehow for that to come into effect. And Direwolves in this situation already 10 minutes, 11 minutes in, have found themselves with 3 winning lanes. Where is the avenue for Bombers to get into this early game? Like, what were they looking for? Sejuani, not the best ganker, honestly, with those nerfs as well. The Q cooldown means she's really only going to get one off in a skirmish.
And I think that's what it was. I think they said, Ryze has such good lockdown. If we get Ryze ahead, you know, with something like a Sejuani, we can look to snowball. But, I mean, that's such a big if with just how well Talia wave clears. And they
take away the Rift and immediately drop it. Wave already there. King spell shields out the Q, so they're trying to deny son of that wave clear already, but Shelly's going to whack away this turret. They still have a minion left, and the Demolish proc means that one's going to go down, so the bottom lane has only spent a minute and a half in the top lane up here, and that's already going to mean the turret advantage over to the Direwolves again.
Yeah, Chippies rotates into that mid lane, reads the gank coming, wants to be there. You can see Luch going a little bit aggressive. Where's the Talia wall? Do they look to make a further play? Tiger steps forward and gets rocked by King. Says, maybe I'm not strong enough to take that fight.
Yep,
Shelly, what are you doing?
As he walked into the mid, Sleeping had a lot of time with that bottom lane turret, so might just be able to match that one down. Here's Mega Gnar right now, so just whacking away melee on that turret. Shurnfire once again sitting around in this portion of the jungle, so he does Sleeping actually match the turret trade, so one turret picked up for the Bombers.
But I like this from Chippies because when your team's going aggressive on one side of the map, you have to acknowledge that, hey, the only play they have right now is to kill me. And if they kill me and take the turret, then we fall a little bit closer to even than we want to be. So let's take the advantageous trade. Let's get the gold from Rift Herald, let's take the tempo, and let's cheat somewhere else and not open up that play.
So that works on a 5v5 level, right? But in this 1v1, Chippies is just falling further behind. That almost solo kill coming out of Sleeping, that very handily winning trade he had onto Chippies, burnt both flashes, but already has himself about a 30 CS lead. And if Direwolves keep playing around the 4, sure, they are gaining global gold, but Chippies will just be falling slowly further and further behind. And the experience is the big thing. If he has to roam mid and then share experience with Triple, means that the level lead out of Sleeping will start becoming relevant.
You're the 4 wins the 4-1 guy. You can't flip the situation on me. I'm setting you up with a point.
3 seconds ago, we were talking about the avenues the Bombers have to win the game. And I think Sleeping is it right now. He is the one that potentially can win.
By the way, Ejim, for those at home, is the biggest cynic on 4-1.
I think split pushing doesn't work in the meta. You can't play split push because there's so many tanks and they just start up a Baron and then Ornn just goes, and then a big ram comes flying through your screen. And then you die. And then split pushers have to TP. So that's how it works.
Yep.
And so it might be rough, but it is a thing. And Sleeping is in a good position to set it up so far.
All right, see whether he can do it. Continue to track the progress. I like the passion.
Yeah.
As a support.
He's almost got a cleaver.
Egypt's like, just come into the team fight. Let me set it up for you.
Cupcake. Actually opting in for the Righteous Glory this game. Not going more of the defensive Aegis or anything like that.
I actually would like to go back and, like, obviously I can't now, but when I VOD review, I want to see how quickly Shern bought his Hunter's Potion, because staying on the map has actually afforded Shern a 25 CS advantage in a matchup that he doesn't necessarily farm quicker than Sejuani.
Yep.
So obviously using that to stay healthy, you know, get better positioning. However, Direwolves now knock down all 3 outer turrets. Eyes set on the Dragon.
So the early game plan coming into fruition has been a great success so far. TP'd twice from the bottom lane right now. And the TP is still available for the alley. And as you mentioned, the barrier is coming out from King.
Yeah, laning phase done. Let's pick up the barrier. We might have to team fight sooner rather than later. And this is where this comp gets a tiny bit iffy.
Yep.
Because I'm not saying that they're worse team fighters, but they're definitely not drastically better team fighters on the side of Direwolves. And it's like, okay, we got ourselves a 2,300 gold lead. What does that look like? It looks like, you know, completed boots 2 and a brawler's glove here, and, you know... Ooh.
Oh! He just really quickly wanted to base. Well, that must have been a misclick out of King.
I'm an audio caster. I was actually looking at Egypt. I hear that. I turn around, ready to yell. And then I'm like, nothing's happening. But what I was going to say is, like, if now Sleeping gets himself another turret, if this gold lead continues to open up top lane, you're like, okay, did we do enough in the early game to really validate how we played it out?
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, Sejuani's still going to be a tank, still good things happening for the Bombers.
And I mean, gold is just a means to quantify an advantage, and the advantage manifests in such a way like value. Like you have stats, you have magic resist, armor, you do more damage.
Yep.
They also have the double spellbook and their AD carry in support, so it might be small, but these do stack up when the gold lead is pretty small, 2k.
Yep.
We're only 15 minutes into the game, approaching 16, so like it's a fairly decent gold lead, but when the opponents just have more stats from runes, is it more like a 1.5k gold lead, something like that?
Yeah, for sure. I like the way you're thinking on that. This is something that I personally do a lot in League of Legends, and I'm not saying it's a good or bad thing, but it's a way to think about the game. If I fall behind, I do not buy boots. As I actually go for the engage, looking for sleeping to continue to slow out. Cupcake has to burn the ultimate, will get targeted, will get burnt down, and that's first blood actually going across to the Bombers.
Yeah, it's a big deal coming out that will close the gold lead gap a little bit there. We were mentioning earlier how squishy Ali is, despite having that ulti available. So rank 1 there, not going to do a whole lot, is CC'd down, and he does hold his flash, so nice patience out of Cupcake, does fall down, but holds the summoner.
And what I was saying is Tiger has done something that's very unique. He has not spent the 1100 gold on boots because he's like, all they are is 10% cooldown reduction. What I want instead is combat stats, and I'm going to rely on my kit, as well as the fact that we should be going forward in this 1-3-1 to keep myself safe. As now they're actually in behind King. See that Triple is coming in.
Unfortunately for the Bombers, the bind is incredibly easy to spell shield from King, so unless he was willing to flash ulti that one, King was completely fine. I mean, you can actually time it. If you get real cheeky on the Bombers, you time the binding with a Q. If Tiger can communicate that with Rosie effectively, you throw a Mystic Shot alongside the binding, and then as he preps that spell shield for the bind, the ideal situation is the Q takes it out, and the CC lands. You can kill him dead, but unfortunately that doesn't happen.
You're the big proponent of Make It Rain into Jin W, where the Jin W actually would start coming out first, and then the Make It Rain would come out second, makes the stun instantaneous for Jin Misfortune. Kind of a similar little thing going on there.
So, Direwolves once again, just so much vision control in the top side of the jungle right now. Tiger, actually just diving.
Yeah, they certainly are. You can see Tiger has to burn the flash. However, in comes the rest of Bombers. That's going to be...
Binding.
Binding actually lands. Massive ultimate from Sleeping. You can see that King is just able to live, but they're heading for the hill. Good
nice
wall. Actually, fantastic use of the stopwatch from Cupcake. Might delay this fight just a little bit for them to be able to get back in. In goes Chippy's ultimate will be used. Rosie burnt his stopwatch, and you can see Luch just cannot get onto targets, and Bombers ultimately lose that fight.
And honestly, so many nice micro plays out of the Direwolves. The stopwatch from Cupcake, the flick coming out on the back end of that engage there, and Chippy's just dodges the CC with his ultimate there. So really nice play. Nobody in the end falls down. Actually, no, Rosie falls down. So 1 kill advantage over to the Direwolves. The gold lead still in their favor. But we're approaching 20 minutes so far. Baron will be spawning.
But this is definitely the best game Bombers has played so far. Even though they've picked up a win versus Sin, I think this early game has looked much better. They've shown that they're willing to pull the trigger in 2 situations now.
But I mean, was that them pulling the trigger?
I mean,
Schönfighter walks in
after
and just
he
dives
dives
the turret.
you could take the flash and just back away. Instead, they teleport in. They use the Rise Port as well.
I mean, the engage looked good out of Sleeping. They get multiple carries into the wall. Unfortunately, the damage is not quite there, and Cupcake body blocking for the Sivir means he doesn't fall down. And then we have to mention the wall coming out of Triple. That was completely stopped there. 3 members of Bombers behind the wall.
He's a combat wall Talia. He doesn't use it as like just macro. He is more than happy to put it up during team fights, which is pretty rare, to be honest.
I mean, that's something so small and you don't see so often, but terrain can just create such a significant advantage. If you look at team compositions, Sivir, if she's in a choke, she'll just be hitting every single member. And then if you can force like a Talia wall to just force a choke in the middle of the lane, you force Bombers to group up. It's a big deal of something so hard to gauge.
Yeah, for sure. Sivir now, 2 items, starting to really scale up. Talia also looking for the 2nd item. Chippies is really the one that's hurting right now, still down 26 CS and some turret gold.
But he has clawed it back, to be honest. He was 40 CS down just 2 moments ago. So.
Yeah, caught a big wave. Shern does get rooted up. That's a nice interaction. Of course, able to use both abilities whilst you're in a root, so he still gets moved.
We check in with the gold so far. Chippies, despite Being down 20 CS, only 500 gold. The difference there, the big lead right now is in the jungle for Schönfire. Got about 1,000 over Seb.
King got about 1,500.
Yep, King 1,500, so.
That'll
Schön
be the
King
gold
coming
lead.
up trumps. That's, yeah, that's going to be it there. Bombers contesting the vision on the top side of the map there. Crab will be theirs, so for about the next minute and a half, that will be available. Dials won't be able to sweep that one out, but with Triple just looking for a bit of a reset here, Dragon looks to be the next objective for the Dials.
Certainly does, and you can see Chippy's just going to force that big massive wave in, big creep wave into the turret. So
Pretty massive.
yeah, should be able to now get a reset, look somewhere else. However, Bombers trading an Ocean Drake for what looks like gold because they might be able to take down this top lane turret. That's a good trade.
Yep. Air Drake not going to do a whole lot. Firewalls do have 2 of them, but question, have we actually seen an Infernal Drake? I think we haven't.
No, we haven't yet.
I don't think we have. We've had a lot of Oceans, we've had a lot of Airs. I think we've seen 1, maybe 2 Earths. Seb trying to steal away the golems, but Triple forces him back. They will get the turret.
Yeah, big deal right now for the Bombers. Potentially we can just peg an ultimate at Triple if you want to burn some summoners. Does not decide to do that.
And the Direwolves have a very quick comp. Of course, they have that Sivir ulti to make all the allies run fast, but then Ali also has the Glory. Jarvan can close the gap so easily, and so can Camille. Yep. Talia has the wall as well, so. In terms of just a fight breaking out, if Bombers ever find themselves caught in a side lane, actually, this might be an opportunity right now. Ran over the ward there, the pink in the bush, but the ping does go down.
Yeah, you can see straight away that they
They
want
walk
that.
over.
Sweeping, Len's already used, going to be able to get himself in there. You can see Luch respects it. And they just continue to give space to the Direwolves carries to farm up. However, I don't know if they're better at 6 items. I don't know if this game goes to 6 items. Sivir, obviously, massive amounts of damage. AoE crit, something that is very potent in the game of League of Legends. However, Sejuani plus Gnar is a very good frontline, and Morg is really useful late game.
Yep. If anything, just the shield.
Yeah.
Literally just the shield just opens up a carry like Ryze, who's normally pretty immobile and has to play around CC so effectively. You just hit him with that black shield there. Actually looking for something in the mid lane. The wall off multiple members. The Realm Warp's coming in from Luch on the top side of the map. They do get the flick
back there onto Tiger means that damage does go out. Sleeping one more time, looking for that flank.
Glory.
And they protect the turret very nicely.
That's the double globals coming out. Triple does block the members of Bombers away from the turret, but Luch coming in from the top side of the map was trying to clear out that wave, gets himself there immediately. They do defend the inner.
So really, it's a couple of air drakes and 1 mid lane turret, which is the difference right now between these teams. King's got a huge gold lead just from the amount of CS he's picking up. But Tiger's still refusing to pick up boots. I think now he should have got boots instead of the cutlass.
Yep. Got himself that cutlass, as you say, but he doesn't have the slot, you know. You have to pick up pink. Otherwise, Rosie will yell at you. I mean, he hasn't used his stopwatch yet. So, running out of item slots here, of course. The actual correct decision would be definitely to not pick up the pink. Just take the boots. 1 pink's not going to hurt you too bad. But Direwolves do have complete vision control around the Baron. There's that 1 pink ward. Actually, Rosie face checking.
Face checks, doesn't get the shield off in time, takes massive amounts of damage, and they're willing to burn the ultimate to go for it.
Yep, Schönfire hits him with the fadeaway cataclysm there.
Triple
might be caught.
Able to catch out. Oh, that's a very quick team comp. Double flashes in unison and a very good dark binding on the back end.
Yep,
Ties
nails
up King,
King.
but this could just be the Baron that we love to talk about out of the Direwolves.
And that's 3 flashes burnt almost instantly within 10 seconds of the side of the Bombers. Rosie's actually spellbooked himself a Ghost. So trying, obviously, to get into the backline. His stopwatch isn't available, and he is looking like he's going for something like the Ardent, like the Redemption, but Ghost means you'll have... I agree. I think Ghost means you'll have access to the backline of Direwolves, but as a support Morgana, you don't do damage, so you're only there for the CC, and without a Zhonya's, you're just going to die.
And I think that right now, King needs an exhaust on him.
Yep.
He's about to grab himself an Infinity Edge. He's going to be a 3-item Sivir at all of, what, 27-ish minutes in the game by the time he's able to pick that one up? That's, to use Atlas's favorite word, disgusting.
Going to be a very, very large Sivir, outputting a very, very large amount of damage, as I was trying to mention. Actually, might be a little 1v1 coming, no.
Sleeping has red buff as well as Frozen Mallet, so they're really putting a lot of priority in him to be able to win these trades. See right now, Sivir Ali speeding down into the bottom lane, do get spotted out by a ward. They just give Chippy's space to farm up that wave.
Yep, but in terms of giving space, you see Rosie replant that ward almost immediately. Bombers do have decent enough vision in their bottom side jungle. That means when Direwolves push up the mid lane, Sleeping knows how much space he has, so they're doing a good job of providing that vision for their split pusher, because it is the winning portion of the map for them so far.
Yeah, for sure. And Sleeping is having a good performance. He got close to a solo kill again. His team fight ultimates were much more impactful this time around. And even Seb has been able to recover from a rocky start. And now level 12, equal level with Schernfire, going towards that Warmogs, is going to be a big tank threat. So Bombers are, you know, sticking with this one.
But Direwolves had almost complete control over the 4 so far. And the pink ward that was sitting in the top lane Tribush has finally been cleared out by Triple. That was the only remaining ward. Actually, Cupcake's looking.
Yeah, exactly right. In goes Chippy's looking for Tiger. Ultimate will land. However, Tiger stopwatch on the back line. In comes Luch as well. Teleport, where is it? You can see Sleeping actually on the top front line. Will look to continue just to fight this one out.
Yeah, unfortunately for the Direwolves, they spend a lot of resources there, but don't actually get a kill. Tippies come in from the side lane and Sleeping, but Chippies didn't have to use his there.
He started that one off.
Yep. So, advantage Direwolves after that little play there. Did not quite get a kill, but as I was mentioning, the Direwolves have set up around this Baron for basically the last 5 minutes, almost uncontested.
Yep.
Bombers had that one ward that's now being cleared, and they're just finding it so hard to access their topside jungle. Obviously, as we've been mentioning, Sleeping is the only strong point of the map, so with the rest of the 4, Direwolves just have so much control.
And Tiger still has no boots.
Yep.
Has got himself, he's won the race to 3 items.
Yep.
By not buying boots. He saved himself, what is it, 1,100 bucks?
Useless item. Stupid boots. Yeah. He's already wearing boots. He's got soccer boots on.
Maybe that's why.
Yep. What stats do soccer boots give you? I reckon they give you bonus moves, like more than Swifties, because you get more grip.
Yeah, I reckon maybe it's something like you can't be displaced.
Oh,
maybe when Nah tries to throw
you can't get thrown around
Yeah.
because you just lock in. Inspector Gadget, go soccer boots. Just like the spikes just shoot out into the ground. You're like a tree. You just plant yourself.
I like it. I like it.
I feel like planting yourself as an Ezreal is a really bad idea, though. I feel like he wants to be zooming around the map. He wants to be dashing around. Dragon will spawn again, so it will be the first Ocean of the game. Interesting to see if Direwolves do set up around that one, or if they do set up around the Baron.
I'm interested to see where Direwolves just
Bombers are
actually
just doing it.
hard commit. Because they're flirting with it. They've sped people in. They've, you know, used a headbutt pole. But I haven't seen every ultimate fly at the same target and just disregard a turret with Alistar yet. So they're obviously affording a lot of respect to the Bombers. And the Bombers have a rough week. They've got Direwolves into order. If Bombers are able to pick up 2 victories, that resets their season pretty much in a go.
I mean, in terms of looking at the ladder, right, a bottom 3 team, we've talked about strength of schedule, but if you're just losing to every team fight, the 5 teams above you, then it just looks real hard. But in terms of Direwolves and, actually, Binding, no. Direwolves and Order, they are the 2 top dogs right now, so their Super Week's going to be very hard, and if they picked up 2 wins here, that's amazingly impressive, but...
OPL tip fans everywhere would pull their hair out.
Yep.
As we see, actually, ultimate burn here. They want Shern. Over the wall they go together.
He was already on the blast plan.
Yeah, don't think that was a good ultimate.
Yep. Even if you did see him down, he was always going to be able to shoot himself over the wall, and then with that flag and drag, gets him over again. So, Bombers do find a way to get themselves an Ocean Drake, which is nice.
Again, in comes everyone. Flick misses,
misses,
and Shern on the back end gets CC'd. Sleeping goes, Mega hops over the wall, and that will be successful disengage.
Yep, King. Hitting the turret does actually do a fair amount of damage to the backline of Bombers, but Ocean Drake healing them up now. Tiger's still full HP, and so is Luch. Shern looking to just steal away a red buff right now.
And Shern, he's a little bit accelerated. He's done a good job. He's 30 CS up, but when you run into a level 16 top laner, when you're not that actually, Chippies takes some big damage. Luch is starting to hurt. He's picked himself up a snowballed Void Staff.
Seb wishing he had the ulti to throw at the Camille there, but unfortunately does not.
That would have been useful.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the man with the flag had that hit him in the face and got out scot-free. So Direwolves once again steal away another buff. They're looking at the blue buff now, but still have complete control over the Baron side. And Bombers kind of hanging by a thread, I think, for the most part. If any pick the Direwolves have been looking for time and time again, they're really pressuring around this mid lane inner turret. If they do get a fight, it goes well. If they do get a pick off that, you have to assume it will be the Baron.
I think at the same time, if somehow the Bombers retain control of this game, get Ezreal to a better spot, you know,
get him some boots.
Yeah, get him some boots.
Buy Tiger boots. Get the hashtag
That's
going.
a GoFundMe. But like, I think that, you know, there is a situation where they can defend against the 4 as Tiger gets chunked out there.
I'm honestly really surprised the Sivir ulti didn't come out. You have a Righteous Glory Sivir ultied Ali. He would close that gap in an instant. But that chunk does mean they finally get access to the turret here. That's going to go down as well. Another turret picked up by the Direwolves. That'll be 4.
Yeah, potentially 5 as Chippy's put
Yeah,
some
that's
work
5.
into the bottom lane. He's actually up in CS now as Sleeping has been pulled to the side lane, maybe mid lane, sorry, one too many times.
Yep. Once again, on the way, Ping's going down to the Baron right now, so...
How much gold has Tiger got? I feel like he hasn't shopped in a very long time, and the Direwolves know this.
Yep, sitting about 60 CS behind the Sivir there. But Direwolves do just end up placing some vision back and away. They don't actually opt in to start this one. In terms of tanking the Baron, Schönfei's got double MR items, so he is like a Cinder Jarvan. He will be able to tank it for a while, but he doesn't really do it effectively.
Yep, Ali doesn't want to do it because it breaks his Mobies.
Yep, not to mention Ali, like, he's not actually that tanky without his ultimate. That's what Ali is basically balanced around. So as a support, like, Baron just chews through you because you get less gold than another tank, but also Ali doesn't really want to have to burn the Unbreakable to tank up a Baron.
I completely agree. Chippies goes in, gets kited out. However, burns the ultimate. In comes Talia as well. Where's Rise? Nowhere to be seen. Sleeping actually flashes away and will continue to look to kite this one out. Throws away Chippies, who also use... Oh, he missed the hop over the wall. You hate to see it. Meanwhile, Cupcake being caught out here. Good damage coming across. They actually peg an ultimate at him as well.
Can they kill him?
Can they kill him? No, they cannot. Actually, in goes Tiger. He misses him, and he misses King. And Tiger will fall down. Bombers look to be proactive, but do not get it. And Chippies is in the back line. Luch now will not get knocked up because of the Dark Shield. However, will also join 2 of his members in the Death Chamber. And the Direwolves might just look to end.
And they were so close to swinging the other way. Sleeping bought enough time in the 1v2 in the side lane. They bring down the Talia. They bring down the Camille. They spend so much time taking down the Gnar that Bombers look for an opportunity in mid. But as you said, Tiger just barely misses the kill onto King, and that could have been the swing point for the fight.
Yeah, it certainly could have been. However, it's Seb and Rosie left up and alive, and there just is not enough from their kids to be able to defend. In they go. They pick up Seb. Rosie now will be under fire, and it only took one team fight. It only took 5 kills, but the Direwolves pick up the Game 1 victory.
And in commanding fashion, Direwolves look completely non-phased there. And in a relatively slow game for the most part, relatively...
6 kills in 33 minutes. I'm going to call it slow.
Yep. Stale. Not that, like, there wasn't a big fight all over the place. It was just that one that literally ended the game there. One team fight means they can end the game, but other than that, there were a few ganks back and forth, but not many kills, not many fights. Direwolves wanted to play the macro game, double Spellbook bot lane, TPing around.
Yeah, I mean, Korea-esque. They Battle War churn at the start of the game. They burn Summoner spells. They know that they're pushing waves and now uncontested. Chippies isn't fighting 1v1s. Instead, he's cheating towards his team. He's giving up CS, and eventually they put the screws in enough, tight enough that one mistake will cost you the game, and they found the mistake.
Yeah. I mean, you have to think, was it a premeditated strategy from the Direwolves to come in and start punishing Seb? Obviously, has looked rocky, I think, over the course of the split, and literally from level 3, Sherm was in his jungle. All the lanes were cheating into vision, like placing wards on his camps. They knew where he was at all stages. Really couldn't find an impact on that game, and then eventually, I mean, it didn't really mean that much in terms of scoreboard, but just tracking the jungle early game is something that's just so valuable for the Direwolves.
Yeah, it certainly is. And I think that if you're confident, if you really only fear if a team snowballs, the easiest way to prevent that happening is to find the jungler early, because very rarely in professional play do we just see out and out like 2v2 outplays or 1v1 outplays. We nearly saw it out of Sleeping. That was the closest it got. However, after that, it was just, the jostle back and forth.
Literally, like, 1/5 of a teamo was the distance between Chippies being thrown into the wall and him being thrown into that alley there. So you have to think that was kind of the difference there for that solo kill, and that could have meant that he found that avenue. Because, I mean, Sleeping looked good in that game overall. Like, when he was winning that side lane, like, he built the advantage, went from, like, 20 CS in lane up to 40, and then because of Direwolves being able to make plays across the map, it kind of, like, fell back down, and with a global gold, obviously Direwolves had significantly more turrets. It means Chippies does catch back up, but in the isolated 1v1, he did look good.
Yeah, he was a shining light. And, of course, Teemos is the official measurement of League of Legends. So Ejim is correct when he says that. However, guys, that is going to be all for game number 1. Let's throw it over to Laura and T-Gun to get their thoughts on it.
Thank you very much, guys. T-Gun and I are also once again joined by Bailey. Direwolves able to pick out game number 1 in this series. And it was a low-kill game to start off with. And even though it looked like the Direwolves had control over the game, this was probably one of the better performances we've seen coming out of the Bombers today.
Yeah, it's still the same old story, though. They didn't really do anything proactive. They just cruised along, sat back. They lost all 3 towers pretty early, but they were just slowly conceding objectives while maintaining some semblance of being alive in the game. And then eventually the game just fell apart. They just died bot, died mid, and it was over.
Taking a look at the draft, Bryce was saying that he likes the Morgana pick coming into the meta at the moment, but you weren't too sold on that?
I think it can be picked, but the way that they drafted it felt like they were just inviting counter picks. It ended up against 2 champions that don't really care about it. Siva spell shields off every single bind. Alistair doesn't really care if he gets bound. Talia has the ability to take cleanse, which sort of negates the majority of what's going to happen. So I do like it, and I do think it does have a place in the meta, but it's more of a niche pick than something that you can just open with and hope for the best.
Well, that support knowledge right there is why we asked you guys at home to send in your questions for T-Gun to answer, and we've picked out 5 for him to answer right now. The first one coming in from Reese, asking, what steered you to playing support? Is it the champions you like, the feeling of setting up that sweet 2v2 kill in the bot lane, or is it just being able to sit there spamming your laugh and mastery emote while the ADC does everything?
I actually was a top main back when we still played on the NA server, and I never got my role, so I started playing support because no one played it. That's...
It's the old story, isn't it?
Yeah, there was nothing
everyone.
inviting about it, just no one did it. So I was like, yeah, I'll do it.
Do you spam your emotes?
Absolutely. In
There
fact,
you go.
recently there was a patch that made it so you can rapid fire spam your emotes. Best patch ever. I'm a big fan of it.
Our second question comes in from Luke, who asks, how have the recent item changes for supports affected the current meta, and do you believe they have impacted positively, or do more changes need to be made?
It's really strange. I feel like the runes impacted the meta more than the item changes. If they are going to change the items more, it would just steer us to different picks. Like right now, tanks are pretty much the priority. You see a lot of Tahm Kench, a lot of Alice, a lot of Braum, and even Shen support because tanks are so viable. So I wouldn't say there needs to be change, but if there was, it would be just to steer us back towards mage supports or perhaps things like Janna and Lulu again. I hope not, because Ardent was terrible and just you did nothing as a support besides shield your AD, but that's the only way they could really change it with itemization.
Our third question comes in from Bradley. How do you think the proposed buffs to Baron and Elder Dragon will help close out pro games? And will the meta change to allow teams to be strong at 20 minutes to contest these neutral objectives?
It's hard to say until they happen, because you can speculate all you want, and we always do that when new changes come through, but half the time we're just completely wrong. So while I'd love to just say this is how they do it and this is how we're going to play, it'd just be wild speculation. I do think it will help us close out earlier. I mean, look at the games right now go for 45, 50 minutes on average because Baron does nothing and Elder Dragon barely helps. But again, it's just impossible to really predict how it's going to work.
Isn't that part of the fun, like speculating something and then getting into game and realizing that it doesn't work at all?
Not in ranked.
Yeah,
Don't do
fair
it
enough.
in ranked, please.
Our fourth question comes from Brody, who asks, if you could make your own Oceanic super team, who would it consist of?
So I've cheated a little bit and I actually prepared my answer for this because I have a horrible memory. I can't remember anything. So top lane Fantix, he was actually a top lane main back in the day, back in my day, 18,000 years ago. Schönfire for the jungle. He is by far and away the best jungle right now, in my opinion. He has been that for a bit over a season now. Mid lane, Keen. He was an Oceanic player back in the day.
Yep.
A lot of people remember him now as an NA player, but we're claiming him. We're keeping him.
He was ours.
Lost, now over in the NA Challengers series. Very, very good player. People are probably going to expect me to say Raydir, but I fully believe Lost has the potential to make the LCS. Very, very good player. Someone you should watch out for. Support, Destiny. I think as of right now, he's the best support in the league. I think he has the potential to go over like Lost has. Or if he doesn't want to do it, if that isn't his goal, he can maintain being the best support in the league as long as he wants, because he has just a great work ethic and a great way to sort of approach the game when it comes to meta changes. And for the coach, Enero, overseas again coaching, but he was here for a little bit, so I'm going to give him the credit that he's
going
due.
to claim him as well.
He's going to be the coach.
Our fifth question comes in from Scarecrow, who asks, what changes would you make to bring Blitz back into competitive meta?
He's always there. It's just really niche, right? You just need someone willing to do it. We see people play it all the time. He gets picked up every now and then in Korean games in every region, really. you need people that are willing to play him. You need teams that are willing to pick niche things, and there's no real way to make him meta, like have him picked, every other game without just absolutely breaking solo queue, and that's just how it is.
So Scarecrow, just play Blitz.
Let's
Just do
it. I do it.
Thank you everyone for sending your questions in, and congratulations on your mystery skins you've just picked up. We're going to head to a short break, but when we get back, we're going to have game 2 between the Bombers and the Direwolves.
Sleeping to continue to slow out. Cupcake has to burn the ultimate, will get targeted, will get burnt down, and that's First Blood actually going across to the Bomber.
Yeah.
That's going to be...
Binding.
Binding actually lands. Massive ultimate from Sleepy. You can see that King is just able to live, but they're heading for the hill. In goes Chippy's ultimate will be used. Rosie burnt his stopwatch, and you can see Luch just cannot get onto targets. In goes Chippy's looking for Tiger. Ultimate will land, however, Tiger stopwatch on the back line. In comes Luch as well. Teleport, where is it? You can see Sleeping actually on the top front line. Chippies who also use... Oh, he missed the hop over the wall. You hate to see it. Meanwhile, Cupcake being caught out here. Good damage coming across. They actually peg an ultimate at him as well.
Can they kill him?
Can they kill him? No, they cannot. Actually, in goes Tiger. He misses him, and he misses King. And Tiger will fall down. Bombers look to be proactive, but do not get it. And Chippies is in the back line. Luch now will not get knocked up because of the Dark Shield. However, will also join 2 of his members in the death chamber, and the Direwolves might just look to end. However, it's Seb and Rosie left up and alive, and there just is not enough from their kids to be able to defend. In they go, they pick up Seb. Rosie now will be under fire, and it only took one team fight, and only took 5 kills, but the Direwolves pick up the game 1 victory.